Hello, thank you all for showing up. This is Phil Wilson, or I am Phil Wilson, and I'm with Momentum 98, Relax Saunas of Momentum. We've been marketing the Relax Sauna for 12 years now. It's been very, very interesting, and I've had a health food store in Columbus, Ohio since 1980. And I started selling herbal products and then massage tools, and I became a king of the massage tool sellers to health food stores, to health professionals, to the consumers. I've been doing expos since 1975, and I've been doing these big expos like the Mind, Body, Spirit Expo in here in Philadelphia, and the New York New Life Expo, the Los Angeles Conscious Life Expo, the San Francisco New Living Expo, and I do many, many health professional shows for naturopathic doctors, for holistic medical doctors, for integrative medical doctors, for anti-aging doctors, for nurses, and I've probably put 100,000 people in the Relax Sauna in the last 10, 12 years. And I get a lot of results, and some of them are profound. I have about 150 videos in the last 3-4 years that I've gotten at shows where people have said, oh my gosh, all my back pain is gone, my hip pain is gone, or oh my gosh, I feel wonderful, I've been in wooden saunas for 10 years, 15 years, and they never have felt this good. I just got a call from a lady in Orlando, Florida area. She is a colon hydrotherapist. She got a Relax Sauna for her office, and then she decided, my gosh, this is so much better than the wooden sauna I have in my home. She had a wooden poplar $4,000 sauna in her home. She sold it for $1,250 so she could buy a Relax Sauna for her home. And these are the kind of responses we get. Recently, in the last 3 months, we've been having phenomenal success with people who have wooden saunas already. And they are saying to me, mine does not feel as good as yours. Mine takes 30 minutes to warm up. Some say 10, 15 minutes to warm up. Because it takes 30 minutes to warm up, I hardly use it. And I say that's the law of inertia. It takes too long. We are momentum, and momentum is the opposite of inertia. And we like to say when you take advantage of the moment, you propel yourself into greatness. And when people ask me, well, why are you selling the Relax Sauna? Or why is your name called Momentum? I said, because the products we sell act as a catalyst to get you into the present moment. When you get into the present moment, that's when all the magic in life happens. That's when all the magic, there's always a wave. There's always a wave coming through, and if you jump on that wave, it'll take you into greatness. So I'm going to give you a little history about myself a little bit, and then I'm certainly going to give you a history of the Relax Sauna and the history of the far infrared energy and what it's been doing for the last 50, 60 years. So I got a degree in mathematics. I was at Indiana University, actually an honors degree. I spent 4 years in graduate school in mathematics at Ohio State University, where I presently live and where I opened up my health food store in 1980. And I was always into wanting to be creative. I've also always loved saunas. I've always loved sweating. When I was playing baseball as a kid, softball, handball, I loved to sweat. It always felt invigorating for me. 3 times I have joined health spas, never to work out, never once worked out in a health spa or a gym. I go in and I use the sauna. And of course, when I did that, used it 2 or 3 times, and then the law of inertia takes effect. It takes too long to do it, and you don't do it, and you forget how good the sauna feels. So about 13 years ago, one of my massage tool suppliers was at a show. I happened to go to a health spa show, and they had a booth there, and there they were with a little miniature portable far infrared sauna. And I said, wow, how much is that? And they told me. And about a year later, back in those times, I was scraping by. And so a year later, I decided I could afford it, and I got one. And I just loved it. And I used to take 55 minutes to sweat. It took me 18 minutes to start sweating and 55 minutes for a complete sweat. I would take out the chair, and I'd stay in the sauna. And I loved it. Then I got a call from Taiwan, where the relax sauna is made, and they said our sauna has a little bit better little technology, and it's more advanced, and we'll give you a good price on your first one. And so I said, fine, and it arrived 2 days later, FedEx from Taiwan. And everyone at my store, everyone at my office, they all said, my gosh, this is so much better than the other sauna that I was selling, the other portable sauna. So I had sold about 6 of those other portable saunas in the previous year, and then I started promoting the relaxed sauna and got a lot of counseling on it or information, and found out that it used mirrors. Hi, come on in. Okay. And it used mirrors. The tent acts as a mirror. I said, this is odd. But remember 7th grade high school science, light is reflected by mirrors. It's a principle of light. Now this is called far infrared light. And although it's invisible, it never occurred to me that it was reflected by, that the invisible light would also be reflected. And then later on, the company decided to make the tent a little bit better, a little bit quality. Instead of one nylon with silver embedded in it, they made it a little tiny batting cotton and then a nylon on both sides, and there's silver embedded on the nylon on the outside. I said, okay, how can it get through the blue cloth and get reflected by the silver on the outside of the whole tent, including the bottom? And then I said, oh, it's got little holes in the blue. And then I realized, I said, okay, well, at the speed of light, 186,000 miles a second, the radiator in this sauna there are 2 radiators in the bottom here, and they will hit the back wall and then bounce back. And if they're 179 degrees, well, at 186,000 miles a second, it doesn't take more than 1/10 of a second for you to be in the middle of a light box. So, and then, of course, it became clear to me that it wasn't the holes in the little blue, but the fact that on a cold day, when you're outside and the sun is hot and you're cold and you're wearing a winter coat and you close your eyes and you look up at the sun and you feel that incredible warmth that goes to the coat and you feel it penetrate to the core of your being, in your body, you feel this warmth. That's far infrared light. Oh my gosh, it goes through clothes. I didn't read this. Nowhere does it said it. But in fact, it is true, because when you sit in the relaxed sauna and you sit here and then it's on and it's closed and you put your hand here by the side and then you bring it here, you say, oh my gosh, it is so much warmer. My hand feels so much better 2 inches from the tent than it does 8 inches from the tent. And so you can prove for yourself that something works, that it actually does reflect. And of course, if you have back pain and you sit there and your back is about 2-3 inches from the thing, it gets released. And like I say, I have been at, for the last 12 years, I have been demonstrating the relaxed sauna at probably 25 shows a year times 12. That's about 300 shows. Let's say I put, 300 people in. A lot of people get in the sauna, and then I put people in, and sometimes I have 3-4 people work, and we've got 3-4 saunas going, and we've got people in it all the time. So I've heard a lot of comments from people, like when I was in New Jersey 6 months ago, one lady who's a massage therapist came to this talk, and I put about 4 or 5 people in the sauna, and she was the last one to get in, and she seemed to be chomping at the bit to get in, and she raised her hand. I said, okay, and she got in 6 minutes before the talk ended. And when she got out, she was incredulous. She said, oh my gosh, I have had screaming hip pain. It has been so bad that I brought, she came in wearing a cane, using a cane, and she said, I even brought a Percocet in my purse just in case. I've had chronic pain, and it's all gone. It's all gone. And she said, here I am being interviewed by you, and after she bought it, I'm being interviewed by you, she says, and if I had not been me experiencing it, I would think that I was a shell, because it's totally incredulous that that it was gone. Now, when I met my wife before we got married, she got in the sauna and she had the same experience, and she also had a 6-minute experience. People tell me 6 minutes, like when John Gray got in for 30 seconds, he said, oh my gosh. He didn't say that. He said, I can't believe how good it feels in 30 seconds. Send me one. When Dr. Christiane Northrup got in, she was 2 weeks earlier. She said, I can't believe how good it feels in 30 seconds, and my hair doesn't get messed up. And then she put it on Facebook, and I think someone from her staff ordered it 4 or 5 days later. And so we have a lot of well-known health professionals, people who are well-known and well-respected in the holistic health community as medical doctors, as naturopathic doctors. And we have about 20 books at my booth right now of authors who have purchased the Relax Sauna from us, including one particular author who is actually on the literature for a $4,000 wooden sauna, where he says, I use this sauna every day. I have it, I use it every day. And then he was at a show about 3 years ago, and his daughter had a booth next to me, and he was just casually, I was wearing a pair of shorts, took off his shirt, got in the sauna, sweated like crazy for 15 minutes. We had to get him all dry. His daughter got in, and in 10 minutes, all her arthritis pain went away. And he observed that as well, plus he really liked the effects. So being that he's on the literature for a wooden sauna for about 12 years, he's been on that literature, he had one question for me, and as a scientist, as a medical doctor, a well-known, medical doctor who's written many books. He had this question to ask me, a very scientific question. Phil, how much are 2? And when I told him, he said, send one to me, send one to my daughter. And it's really, really heartening to hobnob with a lot of people who are well-known, because we do a lot of professional shows, and for them to come in and said, this is excellent. This is a great sauna. And, it's the fact that it's made out of nylon with silver embedded in it to act as a mirror, first was sort of like a little embarrassing because it's not pretty like wood, but it's effective. And then people said, well, synthetic material, does it do outgassing? And, we have a track record. We have a history. And with all the people who've experienced so many benefits, from Lyme disease to feeling just mentally clear, feeling on top of the world, to being able to breathe, asthma going away, lung problems going away, bone pain, back pain, neck pain, shoulder pain, arthritis pain, indigestion pain, fibromyalgia pain, Lyme disease pain, all these things, have been resolved, and we have, we're trying to put together the 150 testimonies we have on YouTube. You go to YouTube and put in Relax Sauna Testimonials, and they show up, and we have a website, momentum98.com. You go to momentum98.com, and about 2-3 inches down the page is a picture of a lady in a relaxed sauna. You click on that, and I think the third link on the left goes you to a page where all the literature is written and where you can access another 50, 60 testimonials on the relaxed sauna. And some of these are incredible. In the last 2-3 months, we have about 10 testimonials from people who have wooden saunas, who have owned wooden saunas, and they are telling me, and it's like almost shocking because it's embarrassing. These are $4,000 wooden saunas by companies that are some reputable, great companies. And Dr. Sherry Rogers wrote a book about the incredible benefits of the wooden saunas. And these people are saying, I don't tingle when I'm in a wooden sauna. We had an empath, a lady who's sensitive, and she's got a clinic in Canada. And she said, my gosh, I can feel the nodes of my acupuncture meridians, from being in the sauna. She bought 2 saunas and our Sky Eye radiator, which is a professional model, FDA, approved with a K501K number. I think that's 501K. And that's a medical device. And she bought one of those as well. We had a lady from Alaska saying that she's been in saunas for the last 15 years. She has 2 saunas in her clinic, in Alaska, and no sauna makes her tingle like this. No wooden sauna. It's incomparable, the difference. Now, some people, have wooden saunas and love it. And some people have wooden saunas and say, I like it, but I don't use it very often. Why not? Well, it takes 30 minutes or 15 minutes to heat up. Most wooden saunas, I think, when they're new, they take about 10, 15 minutes to heat up. This one lady said hers takes 35 minutes. As a matter of fact, there's a man in Orlando at the A4M conference in Orlando. He says, Phil, I have an $8,000 wooden sauna at my house. I have your relaxed sauna at my house. I use yours every day. And, a lot of times I'll tell people, it takes, the average of 20 minutes to heat up a wooden sauna. And so if you and your wife want to try the sauna, you do the wooden sauna, she does the relaxed sauna. She's finished before you're even ready. And a lot of times, I recommend you wake up in the morning, get in the relaxed sauna, do it for 5 minutes with your clothes on. If you've got time, you're not rushed to get to work, take your clothes off and do the full 20 minutes and get a complete sweat. It just tones you for the day. I used to drink coffee when I was in college as a mathematician, and I would drink 4 or 5 cups of coffee a day. Then I graduated from that and I started taking showers in the morning. I found that was exciting and that worked even better. Now I like to take water in the morning and then half an hour later then do a fresh juice or some kind of herbal concoction. And of course the sauna. The sauna is amazing. A lot of times I laugh and say, well, this is the appliance for the next generation. You may have a house, but you don't have a home unless you have the relaxed sauna in your home. And you may have a stove and a refrigerator and a shower, but if you don't have the relaxed sauna in your home, what's wrong with this picture? See, because, here it is in 2013, and you've got toxins in the water, toxins in the air. You have hormones in the meat. You have preservatives in the food. You have God knows what else in the meat. You have streams that are polluted. You have mercury in the fish. My gosh, Doris Rapp wrote a book called Our Toxic World. She has recommended a lot of people, look at the relaxed sauna. She did that in 2007 when Karen Russell came to the American College of Alternative Medicine show in Phoenix. And Karen was saying, all these doctors are telling me I need to get a far infrared sauna because I've got heavy metal toxicity and I've tried 6, 7 things and nothing seems to work. And Doris says, go see Phil. He's right over there. She came and saw me. She got our lie-down sauna. We have a lie-down sauna and we have a sit-up sauna. And all of a sudden, 2 months later, I hear she's in contact with the company with a great big wonderful letter that's on the blue sheet here saying after 1 month, after 2.5 years of having heavy metal toxicity and having these negative effects, where I've had trouble functioning, gone in a month after using the relaxed sauna an hour a day. She got her blood tested. For the first time in 2.5 years, her heavy metal toxicity of the mercury and the lead were normal. A month later, she said, I have lost 65% of my cellulite. Actually, she said her cellulite was improved 65%. I said, oh, no, we don't want to tell anyone that. Her condition was improved. She didn't get 65% more cellulite, 65% less. But I thought it was humorous the way she said her cellulite was improved rather than her condition. But that's in her letter, and she said her skin started looking really pretty. I know I was in Chicago at a raw food restaurant, and the lady, Karen, says, I know that you're, almost 65, and now I am. And she said, are you a vegan? And I started apologizing, saying I used to be. She says, I don't need apologies. If you're 65 and your skin looks that pretty, and you're not a vegan, then I'm buying the sauna. It's doing something. And so, we have every show I do here in the Philadelphia area, when I go to Edison, where even the shows in other cities, I always seem to get 3, 4, 5 people come by and says, hey, we bought a sauna from you a year ago. We love it, and I got a lot of these people on video. One guy says, he went swimming and he got really noxious from all the chlorine in the swimming pool. He got in his sauna in 20 minutes, all the nauseousness was gone, all the noxious, from the chlorine. And so we've got a lot of books down at our booth for people who have purchased our sauna, and a lot of them, I said, are well known. And then we also have 2 particular books that we're selling at the booth. And one is called No Sweat, No Sweat by Dr. Bill Akpenar from the New York area. And we have a book called Detoxify or Die by Dr. Sherry Rogers. She's an environmental medical doctor. And her book, this book, Detoxify or Die, this was one of the definitive books that defined the not the relax sauna, but the far infrared movement, I'll call it, because the far infrared energy moves your water cells. I'll explain a little bit about that, about the history of far infrared and how it works. But Dr. Sherry Rogers wrote this book, and 3 chapters of the book are devoted entirely to the benefits of far infrared saunas and the discoveries she has made about how it helps people with especially environmental sensitivity. And she says it's the only thing that takes phthalates out of the body, the only thing that takes the plastics out. She says it's the best way to get the heavy metals out, and when you use it with one of the health professional heavy metal detox programs, then you got the best of both worlds. The cancer clinics in Tijuana, Mexico, where they do alternative medicine, every single clinic there either recommends or requires their cancer and AIDS patients to use a far infrared sauna. Occasionally I get an email about someone who cured themselves from cancer, even though it's not legal. You can't legally cure yourself from cancer, I guess, because it's against the law to do so. And if they found a cure for cancer, the American Cancer Institute, by the bylaws, would have to disband, and that would probably be a shock to the system of the United States economic system, and it would go under. So they can't find a cure for cancer. It's a strange world we live in, but again, we live in a toxic world, so people's minds don't work right, and they don't seem to have the right attitudes. And I finally used my mathematical induction, my inductive logic, and I decided that if the government has our best interest at heart, you assume that, and then you draw the conclusions, and you say, why do I find all these contradictions? And according to the principles of mathematics, inductive logic, if you assume something is true and you get all these contradictions, it means what you assumed cannot be true. And so it's possible the government doesn't have our best interest at heart. I think in part they are influenced by the cancer industry, by the AMA, which is a trade union. It has nothing to do with all the American Medical Association is like the Teamster Union. It's a union. And sometimes I think their hardball tactics is worse than anything that the Teamsters could ever think or dream of doing. It's sad, but that's the world we live in. Remember, it's a toxic world. And being in a toxic world, what I heard a long time ago, if you ask a question to the universe, you ask a question, the answer comes at the same time, So similarly, if you have a problem, the solution comes at the same time. So in this world, we sort of have a situation, and if you let the situation become perplexing, then you can call it a problem. The whole idea is not to let the situation become perplexing, so you don't have any solutions. You just have resolution right away. So with all the toxins coming into this world, how does the universe resolve that? Well, far infrared saunas were created. And this is probably the best thing in the world to get the toxins out of your body. Now, how does it do it? Well, as I indicated before, the far infrared light, one of the best examples of far infrared light is here you are on a cold day, walking out with a hot sun, you're in your winter coat, and you're a little chilly. So you close your eyes and you look up at the sun, the hot sun, and you close your eyes and you feel all this warmth penetrating deeply into your body. That's far infrared energy. Okay, you lie on the beach, you lie, in the sun, and you feel hot on your skin, but you also feel the deep penetrating warmth in your body. That's because you're being exposed to not only far infrared energy, but also ultraviolet energy and near infrared. Now, the ultraviolet energy is so in disharmony with the water molecules in the body and your body energy. Our frequency is about 9.4 microns. And the water molecules in our body is 9.4 microns. Now, when this ultraviolet energy comes at it, we say, wait a second, you're too far away from my comfort zone. I'm resisting you. I think you're a little dangerous. And that resistance causes friction and suntan and or sunburn. And that's how we get suntan or sunburn. Nowhere have I ever seen this written or spoken before I discovered it. Now, just because I discovered it, that doesn't make it right. It's more like my conjecture, but it just seems so obvious that our resisting the ultraviolet causes the friction, the suntan, and the sunburn. Now, you've all heard of a hairdryer. A hairdryer is near-infrared energy. A toaster is near-infrared, and we can actually see the toaster energy. That's when the near energy is still visible. The near-far infrared energy is still visible, and then you get into a space heater, an infrared heater, a hairdryer. All that's infrared. That energy does not penetrate the body. It stops at the skin, but it's not strong enough to cause suntan and sunburn. The far infrared energy, it does penetrate. It does, come on in. The far infrared energy does penetrate very deeply. And what it does, and this is in our little booklet that I have here, and we've got a lot of literature to hand out, it resonates with the water molecules. The far infrared energy goes in, and like anyone can put their two hands together, and all of a sudden, if you put them close enough, like an inch together, you can sort of feel this energy moving between your hands, and you can try it now. And then, of course, when you move it away, it's not as much. But if you take the right hand and call that the far infrared radiator, and then you have the water molecules as the left hand, and that resonating that you do gets the water molecules to pulsate. Now, pulsate's an interesting word. You can see it's a caressing. It's like you're on the ocean, and the ocean is just, the ocean waves are moving, and that nice, gentle massage is called a pulsating. And that energy gets the cells to relax. The energy gets the cells to release the waste product. Every cell has waste product. Every organism, that ingests energy, it also excretes energy. So you absorb nutrients and you get rid of the waste products. It's part of the process of any living organism on the planet, it appears to me. So what happens is the water molecules in their pulsating, that gets the water molecules smaller. So therefore, since the blood is comprised pretty much 80% of water, the blood cells will get smaller. And you all know that if you have semis in a 4-lane highway, and all of a sudden you increase the highway to 8 lanes, and you change the semis into minivans, you're going to speed up the traffic. So the circulation, the microcirculation in the body will increase tremendously. Now, with all that happening and going on, it causes the core temperature of the body to increase 1 to 1.5 degrees. Now, that increase in core temperature of the body makes, come on in. Please come in. Welcome. So if the core temperature of the body increases, that's going to mobilize the lymphatic system to come to the rescue. And when the lymphatic system is activated and mobilized, that's going to get all the toxins out of the body. When you get the toxins out of the body, not just through sweat, but through the lungs, through the colon, through the kidneys, and through the sweat. Now when Karen Russell sent her report to us about heavy metal toxicity, the people in Taiwan, they really had no clue that when they created the far-infrared sauna, and I'll talk about the history of how the relaxed sauna was created and the advances in technology that they use. But when they did this, they decided to do a study. And they actually took a couple people, and they said, okay, give us your urine. You know, how you donate urine. And then they got into the sauna for 15 minutes. And then, you know, after they got out, later on, when they could, they gave us some more urine. And the urine afterwards always had about 30 to 300% more heavy metals in that urine. So there was an instant release. I know I was in Indianapolis at a colon hydrotherapy show, and this lady got a sauna, and she took it up to her hotel room and used it that night. And the next morning, she said, my urine reeked of heavy metals. It's like sort of like a kind of smell that you sort of recognize. And so that was exciting. We've had a lot of exciting reviews of the relaxed sauna. But I wanted to talk about how the relaxed sauna was created and the history of far infrared ray. I mentioned that Dr. Sherry Rogers wrote this book in around 2000, 2001, and it's the first book to really come out and say, hey, far infrared energy is amazing. It's totally amazing. It's one of the best things in the world. And Dr. Jacob Lieberman wrote a book called, yes, he wrote the Light Energy Medicine of the Future. And finally it dawned on me, well, light energy doesn't necessarily mean only visible light. This is also a light even though it's invisible. And so we have had great results with it. And so at any rate, the Japanese government commissioned this Taiwan company called the Chungcheong Electrical Company in Taiwan to find an energy that would approximate what happens when you go to the hot springs in southern Japan. And this is what has a history of when warriors in ancient days would go to battle and come back, and they go to the hot springs to heal. There's some kind of energy there. So this company eventually created a semiconductor chip. And do I have one in my pocket? Yes, I do. They created this semiconductor chip, and Taiwan makes 94% of the world's semiconductor chips. And it took 10 years to invent this. 10 years. Now, I've got a degree in mathematics, and sometimes it takes me an hour or two to solve a math problem. And sometimes it would take me 3 days or 7 days to solve a math problem. And if it takes a team of scientists 10 years to find out how do you transform electricity to send out a certain frequency that's all absorbed into the body, that penetrates deeply, that pulsates the water molecules, that increases the core temperature, that mobilizes the lymphatic system and moves your chi and gets the whole metabolic function in the body on another level. How do you do that? And so they have heat components here, they have far infrared materials, and they have some kind of heat control mechanisms. They all got it in here. And so each radiator of the relaxed sauna, and it's pictured on the literature that I have here that I'll give out, but basically it's this is the relaxed sauna radiator. And there are 20 of these semiconductor chips in each of the two radiators. Each radiator generates 750 watts, so there's a total of 1,500 watts of energy that is generated in this particular sauna. Now, on the marketplace, you will find 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 different companies that have saunas that sort of look like this, like how a Mercedes sort of looks like a Chevy Chevette from a block away, how a Vitamix that they have here at the show sort of looks like a Hamilton Beach blender. But the relaxed sauna has the insides of it is very different. And that's the key. When you look at what generates the far infrared light, and when you discover that in Taiwan they have a law, not a law, but a definition, a legal definition of far infrared sauna. You can call a far infrared sauna a far infrared sauna, or you can call an infrared sauna a far infrared sauna if the energy that generates from it is 95% or more far infrared light. Very simple definition. It's like having a definition for natural in the United States. There is no natural definition, and when Quaker Oats came up with their natural cereal, I said, something's wrong with this picture. How can this be natural and has brown sugar in it and whatever? You know, and then you do the research. There is no legal definition of natural. Oil is natural. Oh my gosh. So far-infrared sauna, this is the only far-infrared sauna made in Taiwan, the only one sold in Taiwan. The infrared saunas are also available. Now, when I did the research, I more or less discovered that the most of the portable saunas that are made in China, they use like the one I had. It has a heating pad. It's a hot plate. It's got corrugated plastic throughout the tent, like a folder where you can see on all sides, and it's got 3 or 4 panels sewed onto it, and there's hot plates, and then connected to the hot plate is the far-infrared mechanism, which is a piece of cloth with charcoal or carbon embedded in the cloth. Now, when you turn on the electricity, the hot plate gets hot, generating no far-infrared energy, and then that heats up the panel, the carbon panel, and then that generates far-infrared energy. And when you get into those saunas, if you're at a show and you get in, they have them preheated, so you get in, it feels pretty good. But it takes normally about 10 minutes to heat up, and frankly, the energy coming out of there is only 15 to 20% far-infrared light. So in other words, 5/6 of the energy coming out of there is just heat. It's just infrared heat. And therefore, this is why a week ago I got a phone call from a lady. She said, or 2 weeks ago, she said, I've got one of my clients wants to buy a sauna, and I'll call you later. And then I didn't hear from her. And then finally, about a week later, 10 days later, she says, my customer, her husband went ahead and bought a $400 sauna off Amazon or off the internet. And she had been in our sauna, the relaxed sauna, 3 or 4 times and just loved it, and it got rid of her problem, and she sweated good, and she had a wonderful experience. And the lady said, whose husband bought her the sauna, she said, it was hot, I sweated, but I did not feel the effects. Because what this sauna did, the sauna I described to you with the panels, it didn't get hot enough. So they put an infrared heater in there, like a space heater. And so it got hot, it got sweaty, and it's like the lady in San Francisco who looked at this relaxed sauna and said, oh, I can't afford it. And we kept in touch, and she went ahead and bought another sauna online, but she made sure there was a money-back guarantee. And she said, I got hot, I sweated, but it was harsh, and I felt it taxed my adrenals, and I was not happy because it did not feel as good as the relaxed sauna when I was at the San Francisco Green Show. So what happened is she returned that sauna and got the relaxed sauna. And she says, if you ever need a testimony, there's a big difference. So we have, it's sort of like a problem is oh, I have that sauna. It shows. People come to me and they say, oh, I have that sauna. And I say, well, does it have the radiators? Well, no, it's got the panels. I said, get in there. And I have sold tons and tons, well, not tons, but, dozens and dozens of these saunas to people who own the cheaper saunas because this one, it feels so much better. And this is what I've sort of gathered because I was at a show, an international nutritional show in San Diego, and it was for nutritional doctors. And the lady said, your sauna feels better. See, it's a feeling kind of thing. It's because loving light feels better than harsh light. In other words, I like to say the relaxed sauna is 95 to 99% healing, loving light. And I use an example of a hairdryer energy. Like we have a little lamp. I didn't bring it here, but it's at the booth. It's a 200-watt table lamp. And when you put it by your face, it seems to get rid of all sort of throat problems, eye problems, ear problems, sinus problems, and it just feels really warm and nice. And then I say, how many people, after they use the hairdryer and their hair is dry, do this with a hairdryer and say, oh, it feels so wonderful. There's a harshness to it. And this does not have the harshness. And that's the defining quality between loving, healing light and of far infrared light and the near infrared. Does not resonate. it does not resonate with your water molecules. Far infrared light does. Our water molecules, our body, we are light beings, and we shine 75 watts approximately of 9.4 micron energy. So if this relaxed sauna generates that much, 1,500 watts of 9.4 micron energy, now of course it's a wave, and a wave becomes a particle, becomes a wavicle. They're sort of like, so our water molecules are resonating with this and creating that extra heat and the extra whatever, and that's the resonating that's doing. So if you're between 4 and 14 microns, that's good enough to resonate with a 9.4 micron water molecule inside your body. Now the history of far infrared. We have a paper here called the Medical Facts, the Far Infrared Medical Facts right here. And it says in this paper, over the last 25 years, Japanese and Chinese researchers and clinicians have completed extensive research on far infrared medical treatments and report many amazing discoveries. In Japan, there is an infrared society composed of medical doctors and physical therapists dedicated to further infrared research. Their findings support the health benefits of far infrared therapy as a method of healing. Now, there's a man in the New York area that I spoke about earlier named Dr. Bill Akpinar. He has made a study of sweating. He also wrote another book recently that I've read that I really enjoyed, and he says 7 principles of healing. He says you want to breathe like a monk, sweat like a pig, grow like a plant, eat like a rat, laugh like a child, sleep like a lamb, and love like an emperor or empress. And so the sweat like a pig, even though he admits pigs don't sweat, and we all know that, and dogs don't either, I discovered. However, pigs look like they sweat when they roll in the mud, but they don't, but that's how it got the thing. But basically, he says basically in this book, sweating is very, very therapeutic. And he says once you know that sweat is your teacher and your healing and your healer, that life is no sweat. Like, no problem, no sweat, And so he talks about, he goes all over the world, and here's a picture of him in the Amazon with some, natives there after doing a sweat lodge. And that's him over there, that's his daughter. And here's another picture of him in an American Indian sweat lodge afterwards. And he also shows in here, very interesting, because he wrote this book in 2007, he shows a nice picture of a wooden sauna by another company. He says, if you want to sweat, what's the best way to sweat? And he says one of the easiest ways to sweat is to get a far infrared sauna. And so he recommends this. This book was written in 2007. Well, he has a friend in New York named James, and James and Mary have bought about 10 or 20 saunas from us over the last couple of years, and one of them ended up at Bill's place, Dr. Bill. And I talked to him on the phone. I said, your sauna is really just amazing. And he is now recommending a lot of his patients call us and get the relaxed sauna. And we're having this from a lot of people. Some people, because the main thing, and if there's a blog for naturopathic doctors, and they, basically a friend of mine is a naturopathic doctor, and she worked for me at my store in Columbus, Ohio, Momentum 98. We've had a health food store there since 1980, and we've been in the same location since 1988, right on High Street, about 3 miles north of Ohio State University. And she said that there's a blog, and people do not like the portable saunas because they're concerned about the plastic, corrugated plastic, and whatever. And so it's taken a long time. We've gone to naturopathic doctor shows for over 5 years now. We've been at 5 of the national shows and about 3 of the regional shows. And so finally, all of a sudden, people are recognizing, they look at this and they don't lump it with all the cheaper saunas made in China, and they see it as a legitimate alternative to the wooden saunas that have had so much good press. Not the wooden saunas that are, the ones in the Finns, have made and you find in the gyms that have the rocks, they get the rocks hot. And again, that takes a long time. Those saunas generate about 2% far infrared ray. They are good. And sweating, the Indian sweat lodges and everything they do, sweating is my gosh, and Dr. Bill goes into the history of the Turkish baths, of the Greek, saunas, the Roman saunas, the Russian saunas, and the American Indians, the South American Indians, and every culture in the world has used sweat as a therapy. Sweat like a pig. That's one of the 7 principles of health. And so it's an excellent book, very inspiring, and I like Dr. Bill's book because it talks about a lot of the principles that I've discovered, starting fasting in 1971, and then I've fasted basically on the Master Cleanse diet. I've done it 13 days. I've done it 6 days. I've done it 7 days, 10 days, 3 days, 1 day, 3 day. And I've done other fasts too because it was necessary, because I discovered that the reason my body doesn't do what it needs to do is because I've got junk in it that's interfering. I remember a long time ago I ran into a friend of mine. He was had an episode, so he was at a mental institution, and they put Thorostain on him, and he came out of there as if, my gosh, And then once when I had an experience, I was doing whatever happened, and I became very sensitive, and I had a cleansing, like a catharsis, and so I had to quit eating meat within 7 days because I ate some meat, and 3 days later, and I felt like, oh my gosh, I'm in like, it's like I can't think, I'm in a fog. And it took me about, 3-4 hours of meditating to feel good again, and then about 4 days later, I ate some ham, and the same thing happened. So I quit eating meat right after that, and even eggs, at that time, I was very sensitive. Right now, I've gotten to the point where I can eat almost everything. It's my choice, and when I eat something, I'm willing to pay the consequences, and I know how to fast. I know how to, like Siddhartha was asked, how come I should hire you? In the book Siddhartha by Hermann Hesse, he said, well, I can fast, I can meditate, and I can wait. And it's an ability, because if you can fast, then you can. It's just a wonderful thing in your life, or do a cleanse. And same thing with meditate or think. It's difference in translation. But I couldn't remember the third one for a long time, and about 8 years ago I checked it out, and it was wait, and I said, oh, no wonder I've been having a problem waiting. Yes?
About like gout, can that prevent gout if someone gets gout?
Gout is one of the things in the original relaxed sauna literature. It mentions that diabetes, gout are, my gosh, those are some of the earliest things that far infrared has been able to help. So, yes, definitely. And it's funny because my mom had gout, and my mom had kidney dialysis basically in 1984. And I was talking to a Dr. Robinson in Florida, and he says he was at the clinic. His mom at the time was going through kidney dialysis, and he was at this clinic there. And this one man says, hey, I always do a far infrared sauna before I come in here to do the kidney dialysis, and I don't go through a day and a half of hell afterwards. And my mom told me that was the hardest thing. For 2 days, she was a mess with no energy after doing the kidney dialysis. And I heard someone mention, I think yesterday, that this can do in 20 minutes what the kidney dialysis does. And if only, the medical community would become more aware of this. But again, one of the impediments is you can make a lot of money selling cancer drugs. You can make a lot of money selling radiation. It's like there's a movie out, Cut, Poison, or Burn. And this is the AMA stance, the American Medical Society or Association. And as a matter of fact, it's against the law, I believe, to recommend anything else but cut, poison, and burn. So this is the kind of society, this is a toxic world where we have toxic thoughts, toxic ideas, oh my gosh. So, the task is, it's like, okay, how do we get toxins out of the world? Well, maybe this won't happen. We can try to keep them low, but I was told and taught 30, 40 years ago, it's a warning universe. It's always going to be negative. It's a place for us to learn lessons. And if we can learn to find a way through the maze and to assist as many people as possible by turning them on to the things that we've discovered of how to make our way in the world, seems to be the current method to get people to become healthier, to get them to become real. And that part of the reason all the craziness is going on is it's like the process of how life works to get us to awaken to our true nature, to find true happiness, to find true freedom, to find and discover true health. And so I find that the relaxed far-infrared sauna and far-infrared saunas in general is one of the solutions that exist. Now, going back into the history and what generates far-infrared light, and talking more about the chip, the semiconductor chip that was invented that took 10 years, it turns out when the sun hits maybe a red brick house, maybe the energy generated from that reflected will have maybe 6% far-infrared light. And if you take tourmaline or jade or charcoal or carbon or maybe shilajit is the first. When I heard of shilajit 25, 30 years ago, they said, whoever they was, whoever told me about it, taught me about it, that it generates far-infrared energy. Because what it is, it's the resin, the light shining and the resin, and then the resin oozes out of the rocks, and I couldn't figure out whether shilajit was a resin or a mineral or what it was, But at any rate, it's certain materials when the sun hits it will generate so much percent of far-infrared light. So many companies have, like the carbon is easy, it's about 15-20%. And the wooden saunas, they've been able to figure out how to get 40%, maybe even 61% of the light generated by their radiators to be far-infrared light. But none of them have been able to do the technology to get 95 to 99%. That's why the relaxed sauna appears to be effective when other saunas have not been. Now, again, all this is all about the wooden saunas. This whole book by Dr. Sherry Rogers, all about the wooden saunas. The research by Dr. Pil Akpinar about saunas and sweating in general. And, of course, now he finds that the relaxed sauna is the most effective sauna he has found. And so the whole idea, even 40-60% is going to do good, even 17%, even the saunas that get you hot and get you to sweat that have 2 or 3% are going to do good. But some, it's like if you have a 5-gram vitamin C capsule that has 5 grams of vitamin C, that's going to be more effective than a 5-gram capsule of vitamin C with 500 milligrams of vitamin C. But they're both 5-gram vitamin C capsules. They're both vitamin C. And so an infrared sauna, and sometimes they call them far-infrared saunas, that generates 1,000 watts and only 20% far-infrared energy is only going to have the equivalent of 1/7 of this energy. The fact that we use mirrors and the energy is like this is the only green sauna out there. We recycle our light. It bounces back and forth. So you're absorbing and reabsorbing the light energy over and over again. So it's probably twice as effective if we didn't have the mirror effect. Actually, it's way more effective because far infrared is linear. And that means if you are a cat, you do not lie inside the building in the shade. You lie in front of the light because that's what makes you feel so good. It's the light. And so when you sit in a beautiful, that belongs in an art institute maybe, beautiful 2-person wooden sauna, and you sit smack in the middle, facing the window, guess what happens? You get 0 far-infrared light in your stomach area, in your chest area, in your head area, because it's not the heat. It's the light. You have to be in front of the light. And so when you sit in the middle, you're also a little bit quite a ways from the panel. And also, if you sit in the middle, your legs aren't getting it because the panels are on both sides. So if you're going to use a two-person wooden sauna, sit in front, sit in the side, squish yourself in the side so you're in front of the panels. Because only when you're in front of the panels, unless there's a mirror in there and you're able to absorb the reflected light, you're not going to have the effect. Yes?
Similar light, when you're saying you're benefiting from the far infrared light.
Yes.
Is that very similar to, they say, get sunlight and absorb some sunlight? That's healthy, like spend a half hour a day exposed to sunlight.
Sunlight is very healthy, and I encourage it, and I love lying out in the sun. I've always loved sweating out in the sun. Now, the ultraviolet gives you vitamin D. But right now, because of, for whatever reason, whether we sent rocket ships out in the air, they say there's lots of holes in the auric field of the Earth or in the atmosphere. And so as a result of that, too much ultraviolet gets in. It's the same thing with omega-3 and omega-6. Because of the grains and all the things that the fish, especially the farm fish, are fed, you know, and there's too much omega-6 and not enough omega-3. There's an imbalance. So I said, ultraviolet and far infrared. There's too much ultraviolet, not enough far infrared energy. And so that's why the far infrared energy is like in the omega-3. That's the one we need more of because we got too much, you know. So the ultraviolet part of the good part of the ultraviolet is we do get vitamin D, but then there's, you know, it can cause friction, suntan, and sunburn and cause some problems as well. But I do know that when I first got the relaxed sauna about 11, 12 years ago, and these are very sturdy saunas, they last forever and ever, it appears. Right now we tell people they last about 10 or 20 years. And after another 8 years, I'm going to tell people they last between 20 and 40 years. It's because I've had mine for 12 years and nothing seems to go wrong with them. It's because the semiconductor chips, nothing goes wrong. We finally fixed the heater. We had about 12 of these heaters about 3-4 years ago. The timers, not the heaters. The timers go bad mainly because of abuse or misuse, but they fixed it. And so we really haven't had any problems with the relaxed sauna for years. You know, we've sold about 5,000 of them already, which isn't a whole lot, but we're making a mark in the world, in the United States. In Germany, they sell a lot more than we do in the United States because we're just not that aware in the United States. Sometimes, you know, we have every country has its difficulty with the AMA or with the comparable organizations, the pharmaceutical cartels, I call them, the drug industry. And even though on TV it says very clear, say no to drugs, you know, and I personally feel about. I was telling this man who we started carrying a Shilajit called Pure Black in our health food store in Columbus, Ohio. And I said, you know, I think about 90% of the drugs used in America is abuse. He said, no, at least 95%. So at any rate, it's like, you know, I had an asthma attack many years ago, and I found that I was reading a Dr. Christopher article. I tried some yarrow after doing all these other herbs, and instantly the asthma stopped. And then, you know, I eventually, couple months later, had another asthma attack, and nothing would work. So I went to the health center and got my Tedral that I used to use as a high school student, and instantly it stopped. And I said, aha, drugs do have their place. Once I learned the drugs have their place, I've only once had to use a drug, and that's when I had a kidney stone, I guess. And that's just my cell phone making noise. And I did find that American Biologics has a product called Inflazyme Forte and Oxy 5000 Forte, and I took that and instantly, and I've never had a kidney stone problem in the last 3 years since taking that for a couple days. So there are a lot of, you know, things that one can do herbally, naturally, that can remedy situations. The relaxed sauna has made inroads in the health food industry, in the holistic health community, in the naturopathic doctor and the holistic doctor community. and they are I call us, we're the leader now. We're the quality sauna. And even though, and like I said, this one person sold her $4,000 Poplar sauna to buy a relaxed sauna, for less than $1,000, so she could have one of these in her home. The other saunas are great. I have to honor them. They're wonderful. If it were not for them, well, I don't know how this was created, because the company's been in business for about 35 years, and the relaxed sauna has been around for about 18 years, 16 years, and 12 years, and 13 years in the United States. Yeah, you had a question? Stella, you were just...
Oh, no, just stretching.
Okay.
I do have a question, but
yes.
It's not unrelated to, similar question to what you're saying about like natural weight, and stuff.
Yeah.
Isolator.
So basically, the history of creating, like when I talked about how you have to find the material. So it is an art to find a wooden sauna that can actually do 40, 50, 60% far infrared ray. It's different from the space heaters you find in your houses or the infrared heaters you can find online. They're not far infrared. Far infrared is a specific frequency and is actually a subset of infrared. And we have a chart here, and we have this whole booklet. It's actually available to you if you would like it. And this is far infrared energy. You have the visible light, the ultraviolet light, the near infrared, the medium infrared, and the far infrared. Actually, when they talk about far infrared, they are implying that's absorbable far infrared, and that's only between 4 and 14 microns. This isn't really the scale. But it's only the water molecules in your body resonate at 9.4 microns, and 4 to 14 is right there, enough where you recognize it as yourself. It's like in astrology, if you were born on July 21st and someone else was born on July 18th, you say your suns are conjunct. You're basically, it's close enough where you're learning the same lessons, you're having the same energy. And so that's how the far infrared works. The relaxed sauna, made in Taiwan, is the trendsetter now. We are the leader. We have results. In the last couple months, we've had 10, 15 people who own wooden saunas, buy the relaxed sauna to replace their wooden saunas as an upgrade. And many clinics, health centers, or whatever are using the relaxed sauna. What's nice about the relaxed sauna is that you put a towel on the chair, and then you drape another towel over it, and then that's not supposed to happen. That's an anomaly. But you get in the sauna. You can put your feet up here. You can put them there. You can sit in a half lotus position. You can do many things, and then you sweat. And after 20 minutes, you get up. You take the towels. You put them away. You close up the sauna like this. You turn it on for 5 minutes, and it self-sanitizes. Is it on? Did I plug it in? Oh, I never plugged it in. Okay. But anyway, and it self-sanitizes. So in conclusion, I wanted to say that we're really pleased with the results we get at this show and all the other shows we've been to. And we do have, many miracles happening that I described for all sorts of problems, whether it be Lyme disease or, and we get testimonies in the mail all the time. Fibromyalgia is another thing that's a piece of cake. Arthritis, back pain, neck pain. All these people, they go in 5 minutes and they feel so much better. A lot of people say, "I just feel so good. I feel so rejuvenated. My tiredness has gone away." And if you want more information on the relaxed sauna, go to momentum98.com. My cell phone is 626-200-8454. The store phone is 800-533-4372 in Columbus, Ohio, or 614-262-7087. And We're right on High Street, 3509 North High Street in Columbus, Ohio. Come visit our store, look on the internet, do the research, and when you plan to buy a sauna, look at what generates the energy. And a lot of people have said this is the only quality sauna because when most of the cheaper saunas on the internet, they never show you what generates their energy. And when they do, it's almost, what is that? And sometimes there's contradictions because there's about 2 websites that have our sauna on there along with the sauna they sell, and they confuse people thinking they're buying our sauna. And some of the websites even talk about the semiconductor chips. And then they give information like the purpose of the fan, whatever, but the purpose of the fan in here is to cool off the semiconductor chips so that the electricity doesn't go off. Like a computer needs a fan. If it didn't have the fan, it would get too hot and the computer would go off. Similarly, if we didn't have the fan, the semiconductor chips would get too hot and it would turn off. So that's why we have the fan. It blows the heat in here. The heat jump starts you to start sweating, but it's the light and the heat inside your body that's caused by the resonation. That's where the true healing takes place. So the temperature, well, how hot does your sauna go? You don't have a thing to set the temperature. Well, the temperature has nothing to do with the far infrared energy. This does get up to 140 degrees. If it gets too hot and you're in the sauna and you're too hot, you just unzip the zipper about 8 inches and you still get the full effect as if you didn't have it unzipped. Thank you so much. I appreciate you coming here. It's Phil Wilson saying thanks for showing up. Yeah.
And a lot of people recommend something.
Let me give you the literature on the sauna. I didn't give you.
Okay.
Are you going to
give me that one?
Okay.
That I have.
The white one? And I'll give you the booklet too. Are you going to go by the booth and try the sauna?
I'm thinking about it.
Okay, it'd be a good experience. What's your first name?
Stephen, S-T-E-P-H-E-N. I signed in.
Okay, great.
All right, have yourself a great day.
Thanks so much. We're at booth 701.
701. Okay, thanks.
Thanks. It's toward the end.
Okay.
Okay.
So questions I have, just plain water. People are saying, a lot of people are more swaying toward distilled than some people say not distilled.
Yeah.
And I'm going to ask about the distiller, because I think the other guy you worked with talked about this Charge Steve distiller.
Mm-hmm.
Then the third question I have is, I know you said, take nutrition, any problem with the chemical. Is that maybe something to improve, let's say, concentration, or maybe some anxiety? Take some something natural for that.
Uh-huh.
And maybe I'll help you also here taking part.
That'd be good.
But
I'm listening.
so my first question is, any good distillers that you recommend?